son.
Yeah.
Well remembered.
It's a very warm welcome to the current manager of West Ham United, David Moyes. David, how are you?
Hi, David.
Morning, lads. Thank you very much. I'm very well, thank you. Looks as if you're both doing very well out there also.
Well, we're making the most of a tough situation for everybody, David, I think. And yes, I'm glad you're enjoying the view. It's quite nice.
It is worth pointing out, David, as we do every day, that in the making of this programme, no sanctions from the Qatari government have been in any way compromised regarding COVID-19, and we remain at a very correct
safe distance.
Social distance. Anyway,
Correct.
What did you find when you got back to West Ham?
I found that I didn't think that things had moved on particularly much since when I'd last left, but I did feel that they had a better group of players. They had a stronger quality group of players. I think that they had invested in a lot of different areas, and I did feel that they had some really good players. Unfortunately, the results hadn't gone well for the previous manager, and that gave me the opportunity to get back in. But I've got to say, I settled very quickly, because after getting the first game out of the way, which we won, it made things a lot easier. And also knowing so many of the players gave me a good chance as well.
Is there as much work, do you feel, David, to be done this time round as you felt there might had to have been done last time round?
I do, because I feel that I feel as if I want to build a new young, sort of energetic young team, and I think we've just started that. I think we've just started trying to do that with the signings we brought in January, trying to freshen it up and trying to give ourselves a lot more youthfulness, athleticism, and that's what we're trying to do at the moment. But I do understand that West Ham spent a lot of money in the last year or two to try and improve things.
Are you quietly frustrated, David, that you didn't get the chance to spend that money yourself?
Well, I was disappointed at the time that I didn't keep the job. I thought we had done enough at the time to do so. But you know, if you're owners, you get a chance. You choose the manager. That's your choice. But I have to say to David Sullivan and David Gold that you know they were brave enough and went back and came back for me again and realised that the job that we had done before had been a good one. So I'm thankful, very thankful for getting the chance to come back again.
Are you right now, David? I mean, we talk about people being off. The players are ticking over at home, doing lots of bit of training, keeping themselves ticking over. Are you, as a coach of a Premier League club, are you sort of full on working? Are you still trying to find players, trying to assess things, trying to plan for when we eventually do go back?
Yeah, I'd love to say it was full on, but we are doing all the things you're saying. No, we're doing our recruitment. The players have all got programs, and to be fair, from the information I'm getting from our club, and I speak to people from other clubs, and I've spoken to one or two other managers, I think all the players are doing really well to keep themselves in good condition, because they know that at any time they could get the call to say we're back. And actually, because there is nowhere for them to go, it's not holiday time for the players. You know, I think most of them are quite glad to get out of the house and do their hours exercise every day.
Can I ask you about players, David? You've been in this game a long time, 11 years at Everton, Preston where you started, in England, Sunderland, you know, West Ham twice, Sociedad. Fitness of players, how much has that changed for when, let's say when you first arrived at Everton, a Premier League club way back then, how much more different is getting players fit and keeping them fit now?
I think the players are in better condition now,
right,
because I think on years gone by, you know, people did take time off, and we were all very similar around that period. But it's something we talk about a lot. I think the players now, Andy, have got, you know, much quicker, you know, more athletic. Every one of them are ripped now, all the players. but on years gone by, if you said to me, you know, are these boys fitter than the boys of old, I'd say no, because the cross countries, you know, the running you had to do in years gone by. It's a completely different type of work from what we're probably introducing now. You know, it's much quicker. It's much more focused on speed, and you know, and covering the distances much faster. Repetitive sprinting rather than us, you know, doing, as I said, a cross country.
Is your job? Sorry, Andy. Let me interrupt just for a moment on that subject, cross country running. Yeah. Just tell the story. What was it Bill Shankly said to you when he, from your perspective, surprisingly called you at home between your leaving Aston Villa, working for Ron Saunders, and going to work for John Barnwell at Wolves? What did he say to you about
because
football?
when I was sitting at home, David, contemplating whether I should move for this huge fee, and the phone went, and this very recognisable voice, Shank.
Hello, son.
Hello, son. How you doing? Like that, Mr. Shankly.
Yeah.
And I just said, I had no idea why he was calling. I didn't know he knew Barney as well as he did.
Yeah.
And he just said to me, what are you thinking about? I says, well, I don't know. That man you're with, son, he's mad. He runs you up and down hills, he runs you up and down sand dunes. I've never seen a football pitch with a 45-degree gradient on it, son. That should make your mind up. I says, thanks very much, Mr. Shankly. Done.
It's a great
Just brilliant, which cuts to the chase, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, it
Anyway,
does.
sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was just, I mean, I lost my train of thought now because of
Players
that.
and fitness you were
Yeah, it
talking
was
about.
players and fitness. Coming back to that, David, coming back to you as a coach, has there been a major shift in your job with respect to what you're required to do? If the players have been required to look after themselves more, what's the biggest shift in what you're supposed to do or what you look to do as a manager?
I think the biggest shift for managers now is communication. I think the communication with players now is vital. I think I've been in touch with them regular myself while we've been off this period. I think the players are looking for, for a more sort of human touch in some way. I think on years gone by, your era, my era, Andy, the manager, you might have spoke to him now and again, but you wouldn't have done too much going on with them. I think now the players are looking for a lot more sort of commitment from the manager to hear how things are going, what's happening. At the moment, we have very little news for the players, which is disappointing because we can't give them any sort of update to say that when we're going to start back or when we look as if we're back to training at the moment. So you're trying to just check and see that their families, the players themselves are keeping well, they're keeping their fitness work up and just generally being in touch with them.
How much time, David, do you think will they need to get back up to speed, to fitness levels that will allow them to play the game again?
Well, I think that ideally 4 weeks would be ideal, but I don't think we'll have an ideal scenario. I think maybe 3 weeks might be the maximum we get. If everything's correct and the players are doing their work and keeping themselves as fit as they can, I don't see it quite like being when we have our close season where the players are off maybe for 6 weeks and they'll probably have a good holiday for 3-4 weeks and maybe start doing a bit of training in between. I think they'll have kept themselves in better condition, so I would hope that we could maybe start a little bit quicker. But you never know. I think the bigger worry now, Richard, is everybody's now talking about the injuries we're liable to pick up, either during the 3-week preparation time or during the period which looks like we're going to have to play an awful lot of games in a short period of time.
Just on the subject of communication, I think it's something I've spoken to others about. Rafa Benitez initiated, always very keen to have a young coach around and about him. Is that one of the reasons you brought Kevin Nolan back? To be a buffer between yourself and the young men that play the game?
Yeah, I felt that, and I also felt that because Kevin's knowledge of West Ham and the situation we were in would help. And I think there is something now where having a younger member of staff is really important. Well, you've always wanted to have young members of staff because hopefully they can join in a bit of training if needed, or hope they can help out in different ways. But also, they have a bit of a closer relationship at times with the players and can be a good buffer between you and the actual squad itself.
So, are you from the Arsene Wenger school of coaching, then, David? In respect to yes, I listen to my coaches, I hear what they've got to say, and then I do what I was going to do in the first place.
Probably that's what they would say anyway. But no, I think that overall, I think when I've gone back to West Ham, it was a little bit like the last situation as well. I think in the position we were in, the league position was really difficult. We started in the bottom three. We're only just out at the moment. I think when that's the case, I think the players need to hear the manager's voice. I think they need to get the manager's eyes to ears. Yeah. I think they need to know exactly what he wants. But as often as I possibly can, I like to delegate. I like to I've got a really good coach in Alan Irvine. I've got Kevin Nolan and Paul Nevin at the moment who are helping me. And when we can, we'll try and make sure that they get opportunities to do some coaching. But ultimately, you know, us getting results is the big thing, and that's where I feel I have to take responsibility for that.
As we sit night after night, I one of the things I have enjoyed about the lockdown, if I'm honest, is that it's tempted me back into YouTube.
Yes, watching
and
old
watching
games.
football matches from very different eras. Now, the debate as to whether the game has changed down the years or not will always be there. But what has changed is the language. I was watching Don Revie and Matt Busby in their various posts the other night being described by a surprised David Coleman, I think, as a tracksuit manager. That was all the vogue at that time. Remember that they got tracksuits on and went and worked out with the boys. Now you brought that philosophy to the Premier League when you went to Everton. When did you stop training with the players pre-match, and why?
Well, at that time, you're right. When I got the Everton job, because at Preston we didn't have many staff. We only had myself and the physio and an assistant manager.
Yeah.
So it meant that the staff was so short. So in those days you did everything. So if it wasn't me, it was the physio or it was my assistant. So I had been taking the warm-ups at Preston all through the days, right through my time as a manager. And actually, I've got to say, there was lots of really good things in. And you look at Jurgen Klopp now, who would always stand and watch the opposition warm up. Well, I found that when I was out warming up with the players, I got a chance to get a feel for the pitch. Was it dry? Was it too wet? Where was the wind blowing? What way was their goalkeeper kicking it? You know, how did it look outside? How did our few players look? So when I did get the Everton job, I remember the night I got the job, and then the next day was in training, then the next day was the game. I felt to myself, what am I going to do here? They're taking the warm up, and I couldn't sleep all night thinking about it. And I eventually just decided, just do what got you the job, and I took the warm up from day one. But at that time we had enough staff at Everton, so after a few months I was able to sort of stand back and just come out and watch the warm up, because I do feel that actually seeing the players, the prep's important as well, because you want to make sure they're in the right frame of mind, and as I say, all the other elements come into it as well. You get a chance to have a little bit of a look at the opposition and see the conditions outside.
David, is it also true, I mean, that, you know, when you were a player, when I played, managers talked a lot before the games, they were always in your face.
Yeah.
I hear then there's a case these days for a manager only saying what's important, by that not saying too much at the beginning of the match, but making sure everyone knows their job. And then particularly at half time, I hear some coaches say 15 minutes is too long. I don't want that. I only want 5, 6, 7 minutes to get my point over, then I leave the dressing room. Are you like that in any way?
Yeah, well, I think my style would always have been to quickly have 2 or 3 minutes with my staff the minute we come off the pitch, just quickly to assess what happened. Go in, give the players that moment of time to undo their tie-ups, get their socks off, whatever they need to do, change their boots, which they do more often than not nowadays. And you know, then I would give them the 4 or 5 minutes, and then leave them on their own, and then normally a bit of a rallying cry just before we go out again, and hope that they're ready to go again.
David, beaten black and blue at Manchester United, a torrid time at Sunderland. In adversity, it's often said we find out more about ourselves. Are you a better coach now than the man that left Everton?
I believe so, because of experience as much as anything. I think when you've got, you know, over 900 games under your belt, and the majority of them in the Premier League, I think it gives you that experience of working at the level and working with the different players. But I've got to say, every club I've been at's been great. Every club, Manchester United, Sunderland, has shown me different things, experienced different parts of it. And I think that's why now, when you get to this sort of stage and this level, I think you're in a better position to manage, I would say. And I do think the day-to-day dealing with the players has become very important, which I mentioned a bit earlier on. I think your coaching changes. I think your coaching has to change with modern football. Things like now, the centre-halves can take the ball just outside the 6-yard box. You know, the different way we play now, there's an awful lot more pressing, there's different, you know, parts of the game now. So it does make you question all the coaching you've done over the years, and you have to continually update it. And it's something I like doing. It's something that I work continues at to try and make sure that I continue to improve.
So you don't look back with regret about leaving Everton, although it was a difficult time. It actually has been to your benefit, the experiences you've had ever since.
I think I'll always look back and regret leaving Everton because of the team and the players I had built at that time. But I'll never be regretful for joining Manchester United or doing what I've done. I think in football we all make decisions. Andy will tell you as much as anything. Some work for you, some don't work for you. I think on the journey of being a football player and a football manager, you're never always going to have good times. You're always at times going to have ups and downs. But I've got to say, at the moment, I'm really enjoying my time back at West Ham. I think that we've started positively enough. I think that we've shown a lot of good signs. A couple of good signings in January have given us that opportunity to improve.
Are you going to be a Bobby Robson and a Fergie and a Roy Hodgson and be coaching into your 70s, David? Or do you think there might be a case, because you've not had, I would say, a sustained break away from football, when you played into coaching? No. Or do you think you'll know when you've had enough?
Into his 70s?
Yeah. He's not 70 yet. No.
Sorry.
No, he's not quite.
My fault.
Yeah, it's your fault. No, sorry.
I'm not. Do you know something? I'm not sure. Football. I've loved football since I was a boy. As you're brought up watching and playing, and I don't know if I'd like to go all the way as far as maybe Sir Alex has gone in times, but I think I'd like to make sure that I want to win things. I'm back. I want to come in and win it. I've had a lot of near calls and getting close to being successful, but not as close as I'd like. So I'd really like to do longer and stay longer if I can. At the moment, I feel young, I feel fit and able to continue, but whether I go into my 70s, that's another question.
David, everybody's telling stories at the moment that they shouldn't be. Very briefly, top 3 that you wanted somewhere that you didn't get, who would they be?
One of them would be Michael Essien. One would be...
At Everton?
That was actually to bring him to Everton,
yeah. Wow.
One would be I'm forgetting the names now.
Cruz, Tony Cruz.
Tony Cruz would certainly be the one who, if I dropped to Manchester United, I think he'd have been winning. And at that time as well, we were very much after Gareth Bale and Cesc Fabregas. So I think those level of players. But I've got to say, before that, prior to that, at Everton, we were really close to a lot of good players at that time, bringing many good players, and we just couldn't quite get them over the line on several occasions.
Well, here's one before you go. I said to you I was going to ask you this.
Yes.
How many Premier League games has David Moyes taken charge of? Don't tell him now, David. How many?
It sounds occasionally.
See, I don't know. I'm going to have a guess as well.
I'm not sure he didn't give us that figure earlier. So I'm going to guess at 720.
I'm going to guess at 765.
You're looking for an answer, I don't have a clue. All I do know is that I'm over, I think I'm around about 960 games at the moment, but I think I've got maybe somewhere mid 500s or 600s Premier League games, something like that.
So goal scorers can remember every time they scored a goal. Defenders obviously don't have the same recollection or
they just remember who they kicked. That's all.
David, we're really grateful to you for taking time out to talk to us. Very much appreciate it.
Stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe.
Yeah, you too,
and
boys,
good luck.
You're well out there.
Listen, when you get back, David, good luck to you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Cheers, lads.
Great to see him smiling.
I can't see, he didn't even know. I said to you, I bet he doesn't know.
7, maybe we've just gone a little bit too high.
See, I was trying to work out 11 years. I'm working 11 years at Everton. That's 38 a season, so that's 300. That's 400 at Everton.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought, I'll stick another 300 on top of that. Maybe it's a bit,
maybe we were a bit too many. It's probably back in the 5s.